I'm going to show you how to compress images, resize images using Photoshop actions. We are going to use several different palette tools and palettes today. One is Photoshop Actions, and this which is located in Windows Actions, and this is what I have checked. You can also find it and find a toolbar on the menu item and click it. But I've detached the palette from the toolbar. Okay, I have a bunch of images open for the Rancho Campanero um, property, and so we are going to go ahead and resize and edit all of these images. So first thing I'm going to do is create a Photoshop action, and you only need to do this once. So it's resized to 1000 pixels um, wide. And just remember, I'll show you in a minute, but there's going to be, if you ever have a portrait size or image, you need to make one separate image, separate Photoshop action for 1000 pixels high. Um, but remember, you're going to apply the same settings to all the images. So you need to pick and sort the different images for the proper Photoshop action. Um, you can just gonna go ahead and put edit images. So you can create different Photoshop sets and different um, different Photoshop actions, specific actions. You can assign a function key, color, or whatever. But we're gonna go ahead and record. My advice is don't get too complex with the Photoshop actions because you're going to have different sized images and different sized, different orientation image of the images, and it just works better if you keep things simple. Okay, right now we are going to change the resolution from 300 DPI or BPI or pixels per inch, depending on how you want to call it. 300 is basically for print, and it's printing onto photos or in a magazine ad or something. Usually the resolution is 300. So we're going to change that. So we're first of all resampling image. Resampling, we're going to uncheck it. We're going to 72. Now that we're done, we're going to check it back. Now we can change the width of the image. Because remember, we're going to resize the width of the image from 1200 to 1000. This helps as well if you have a lot of images, different size image. Maybe some are 1200, some are 3000 pixels wide, some are 6000 pixels wide. But the width of all the images are going to be 1000. So we're going to go ahead and click and click OK. So now it's resized. Um, so now we're done. Oh, before I forget, one thing is that we're going to sharpen the image a little bit. You don't have to do this, but this is what I do. It's just don't don't overdo it. Just one time. What I found is that when you save the image using to the internet, you compress it. The compression will make the images more blurry. This is just due to the fact that you're compressing the image down, you're lowering the quality of the image. And so over sharpening it just a little bit helps. It will help make it appear sharper than it normally is. So okay, so we're done. We've resized the image and we sharpened the image, and now we're going to stop. So I have so this is the same Photoshop action. So I'm going to run the the action using a batch automate file automated batch. And so this will do all of the actions, perform all the same action for all of the images. So we're going to go to edit images and select the image. This is the source is open files. You can collect, import, or designate a folder where the images are located. But remember, you need to make sure that all the images are the same orientation before you do it. Um, Before you open up the designated file and run from the file. But right now, the default setting is save, and from my default setting is save and close. We're going to select none. We're not going to save anything yet. So right now, we're going to run the Photoshop action, and it's going to go ahead and it's going to cycle through and save all the images. Um, so now it's done. So you can see all of the images are now smaller, and they are all of the same standard size. So now the next step would be to create a save action. I'll create another save action. This is just to tell me what quality the image is being compressed to. You can name the file however you want. So let's just go ahead, edit images. So now we're going to go to the save the web and devices. That's this one right here, save for web and devices. You can select that one, and you get an image window like this. And you can click between the original, optimized, 2-up. So 2-up is helpful. I usually use optimized, but right now we're going to use 2-up. So as you can see the original size and compressed size. So we're gonna look at all the different settings. You can use the presets that they have available. If you like, you can use them. If you were to click like high, it'll automatically change everything. You can select them quality, medium quality, or you can enter in, use just a slider of 0 to 100. The one thing to remember with JPEG quality compression is 0 is maximum compression, 100 is no compression. The color profile, I leave that alone. But right now, we're going to just click save. And we are going to save. So right now, I don't try to mess with the file name because we want to be able to have the same action applied to different images, and then have the multiple images exported. If you mess around with the file name and add a hyphen, it's going to also apply that same file name to all the other images. Just leave that alone. I just click and edit. So right now, click and save. So right now we have that Photoshop action for recorded, and we're going to stop. So I am going to delete my image that I just saved. So back here. So the one thing to remember is that if you just run the Photoshop action now, it's going to ask you to save the changes. So it's going to constantly ask you to save all the images. So what I do is I save the images either as a TIFF or a PSD file. And so you don't have to do this. If you want to just go ahead and prompt, if you want to go ahead and go through a prompt to save each time, then that's up to you. But I'm going to go ahead and save it as a Photoshop file, and and I'll show you why this works well. So we are going to go ahead and save all these images. Save all these images as Photoshop files. Oops. like I said, you don't have to do this, but this is what I do. So. All right, as you can see, all the Photoshop files are saved, and now we can go and batch animate. The one thing that I'll try and explain to do to you is that if you try and save as a folder, you can always change the. You can also save the folder, and edit the name. You can add a hyphen, and select the Photoshop of the name of the file, or you can change it so that you are adding a date. Anyways, but right now we're going to save as and close. The other thing too is that you can to remember is that it is set to stop for errors. You can log errors and just have it go. But anyway, if there's an error, the Photoshop action will stop. But so right now we're going to click OK, and it's going to cycle through and finish export all the images. I'll show you. It's done the original images or about 200 kilobytes in size, and we are going to see. You can see by compressing them, you can see a dramatic difference in the size of the file. We've gone from 225 kilobytes to 99 kilobytes. So this is how we compress the images. Yes, they're slightly sharper than what they used to be, but the images are still usable. Like I said, these images are designed to be loaded up on the internet and not used for print. If you're going to use some images for print, you're going to have to go with the other one. That's these right here. So cool. So that's it.